it can be very tempting to turn to our own devices, or what the New Age promises for, oh, hey, you don't need God. You can heal yourself. You can do this. You can do that. The secret knowledge that's being hidden from you. But if you would just be open to it and have your eyes opened, it
Mm-hmm.
sounds a lot like Genesis 3:5. If you eat from the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, your eyes will be
Mm-hmm.
opened and you'll be like God. That was so alluring to me because the reality was that I loved my sin and I was enslaved to my sin and I didn't want to submit under God's authority and what his word said, but I still wanted God in some sense, just not the biblical God. And I wanted to be like God in my pride.
Yeah. Wow. And I remember hearing you talking about, um, you know, wanting to reach God and having control over that. And there's a quote here that you had said, the more I embraced the idea that I could access God and ascend by tapping into higher consciousness and clearing energy blockages in myself, the more enthusiastically I dove into New Age practices. So can be real deceiving, can it? Because you're talking about God, and I think
Mm.
that you also call that like lies wrapped in truth, right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And it reminds me of in in our world today, like crystals are so accessible and they're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of the time you go to stores that aren't even new age stores, they're just stores on the corner. And next to the crystal, they say, this will attract prosperity to you, or this will attract love or heal you in the romance department. And it's so attractive and it sounds really enticing to think that we have the power in ourselves to use these tools to ascend, to awaken, to grow closer to God. And so, especially in the beginning, I really saw it as light. I thought that this was not dark and not even opposed to God. I justified my practice. If you had said I was idolizing or worshiping the crystals, I would have been like, absolutely not. They're just tools to heal me. But the reality was when we turn to things like astrology, like psychics, like crystals that promise beautiful things rather than turning to God. And on top of that, divination is something that God uh, says we are not to do. It is a sin to practice divination. We're
Mm-hmm.
in active rebellion, but we get so deceived, lured away, and enticed by our own desires that we don't see it as the darkness that it is. We see it as this glittery thing promising healing and even maybe to get us closer to God. But it's a lie because we don't get closer to God by sinning against Him.